Sidney Crosby is a guy that no matter what happens, he has never done anything stupid to end up in the media, despite the fact he's been everywhere on TV since he was 9 years old, 10 years old. Think of all the dumb shit guys do. I remember one of the guys in Montreal about a decade ago got arrested for beating up some lady and stealing her purse. Can't remember his name. Patrick Kane with the cab driver punching him out over like 8 cents change. I mean, the Hockey Canada scandal, which we've talked about quite a bit. Crosby hasn't done anything dumb. We don't even know if he's married.
Okay, well, it's not that he hasn't done anything dumb.
That we've found out about.
But here's the thing. He has been very well guarded and insulated. Keep in mind, Wayne Gretzky had similar treatment in Edmonton, and it was a smaller market. It was in the north. Nobody cared as much. The media about professional sports wasn't as much back then. Not as much as it was in Montreal and Toronto and Boston and New York and your 06 teams. But Gretzky, after he retired and after he was done, then he was a little more open. And he's still not 100% open, but he has a history, he has a past, and so does Sidney Crosby. And I've told the story before about a buddy of mine, good friend of mine, who he was actually a groomsman at my wedding, had a cup of coffee with the Penguins and got to share a locker room with them, and said, all the boys would go out after the game, but Sid would go to his own spot with a few trusted people. And keep in mind, Mario Lemieux saw what this was and knew that he had to be protected and made sure that he was guided through. So in a way, and I know this is going to sound very odd, he won't, this is going to sound really odd coming out of my mouth. He won't fully grow up until he's out of the game because he has been, and pampered's the wrong word, but he's been so well guarded. And once that's done, it's kind of like the Truman Show. He's finally out of the bubble. He's finally out of everyone around him, making sure that is going to be okay. It's like, all right, if you leave these walls, you're on your own, and things will change. And in his opinion and all these different things will change about him. And I think he'll realize, looking back, going, wow, I may have missed out on a lot of things, and I appreciate how well guarded I was because he is an ambassador for the game and has been for the past 20 years. So I think it's important to do that for guys like that.
We've talked about it with McDavid, but it must be so hard for a dude like that to make friends.
Sure.
To be one of the greatest players of all time. I know that you've had the top morning show in the city of Winnipeg for now 21 years, for those counting. I've had a hard time making friends as well, just from playing pro hockey, and then obviously having the
you're moving around a lot, and
well, and also too, like, it's, at least for me, and I'm sure you feel the same way. It's hard to like trust people because do you want to get to know me, Travis the goalie, or Travis the person, or the YouTube guy, or the podcaster, or the morning show guy? But to be the greatest player on earth since he was 9 years old, you can't trust anybody. That's got to be hard.
Well, and that's why he's got, people around him. And it's no different than any other industry. When you are the tops of that industry, you are very well guarded because you have to be protected because it grows the game overall. And we'll use it as an example. We'll go into a different parallel universe where, maybe he wasn't as well guarded and he was allowed to kind of have the run of things. And we're kind of seeing now in music, especially with a lot of these artists who got to do whatever they want. Now, 20 years later, things are coming out where it's like, maybe they weren't the best role model ever. Huh? And I'm not saying that about Sid at all. I'm not saying that, but a lot of times they're so well guarded that a lot of things have a blind eye turned towards them.
I'd love to know more about Sid, to be honest with you. Sid and Connor, I have a feeling once Connor wins a cup, we'll start to get to know more about him personally. He'll kind of like let back a bit because he's so focused on that, but I like to know more about both of them. Bobrovsky's another guy.
Hey, every Sunday a new podcast goes up, but if you don't have time to watch the whole thing, there's clips everywhere and just segmented stuff on your favorite players. Go subscribe to Slang and the Biscuit. You can click these boxes because who doesn't like clicking boxes?